You know that feeling when you've just hit a creative wall? You're looking at the same old streets, the same buildings, and that spark of inspiration is just gone. Well, today we're going to talk about how to break that cycle and find something totally new in the places you know best.
Yeah, I think we've all been there, right? You walk the same route every day, you pass the same stuff, and eventually that sense of discovery just fades. It feels like there's nothing left to see. But what if the problem isn't the place? What if it's all about how we're looking at it?
This actually brings to mind a really cool assignment that was given to a photography class. Their goal was simple, but tough: to shatter that feeling of overfamiliarity and prove that there's always something new hiding in plain sight.
All right, so let's dive into our first section, the familiarity challenge. Because here's the thing, the biggest roadblock to creativity often isn't a lack of new places to go, it's just our inability to really see the world that's right in front of our noses. The instructions were super straightforward. Go somewhere you've been a million times, your local park, the street you live on, whatever, and find a picture you've never seen before. Now that sounds easy, but it's way harder than you'd think, because our brains are basically wired to go on autopilot and ignore what they already know.
So if it's that tough, how do the pros handle it? Well, that brings us to a fascinating case study. We're going to look at the work of world-renowned photographer Mark Power, who took this exact challenge and turned it into an absolute masterclass in seeing.
Okay, so you gotta understand, this guy, Mark Power, has spent his career traveling the globe, capturing these incredible images from all over. He's a member of the super prestigious Magnum Photos agency. I mean, he's a master at photographing unfamiliar places. But ironically, his biggest challenge came when he pointed his camera at the one place he thought he knew best.
And listen to this. This is what Power himself said about it. He's putting a voice to something we all feel. It is just so much easier to find inspiration somewhere new, somewhere different. He even admits he was guilty of always chasing what he calls the other, the exotic, the unknown, while totally ignoring his own backyard. So he finally decided, all right, I'm going to do it. He decided to tackle his hometown of Brighton, England, with a project he called an Old Ocean's Bauble. It's this beautiful, historic nickname for the city, and it just perfectly sets the stage for this new kind of journey.
So what kicked this whole thing off? It's a great story, actually. He was digging through his own agency's massive photo archive, and he found tons of pictures of Brighton's most famous tourist spot, the Royal Pavilion. But that was it. Beyond that, practically nothing. And that initial disappointment became his light bulb moment. His mission was born: to document the real Brighton that even his world-class colleagues had missed.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This whole idea let him develop a powerful creative philosophy, which brings us to our third section, the art of the unspectacular. This is really the heart of his entire approach.
So instead of pointing his camera at the grand monuments or the busy crowds, Power completely flipped the script. He gave himself a brand new mission: to actively go out and search for the quiet, the overlooked, the unspectacular parts of his city.
Okay, just look at this image. It's a security gate. That's it. Something most of us would walk right past without a second thought. But Power stops you. He forces you to actually see it, the patterns, the texture, the way the light hits the metal. He finds this stark, almost architectural beauty in something that's just pure function. Or check this one out. It's a simple metal door in some dark underpass. But through his lens, it becomes this kind of strange monument. You start to notice the subtle grid, the texture against the rough concrete. He's transforming a completely overlooked object into a piece of accidental art.
This is what Power calls capturing moments between moments. And it's such a great idea. It's not about the big, dramatic events. It's about all the quiet, in-between spaces where, life actually happens. He realized that that was the most honest way to show what his city truly felt like. And what's so cool is that the process itself became an adventure. He would deliberately just get lost in his own city, turning down a random alley he'd never noticed before. And get this, he started finding places he had never seen in over 40 years of living there. It was like he was traveling to a whole new country without ever leaving town. So, the result of all this wasn't just a book of incredible photos. Through this process of really truly seeing, Power reconnected with Brighton on this deeply personal level. He literally fell in love with his home all over again, not for its famous landmarks, but for all its quiet, hidden corners.
Which of course brings us to our final section, and honestly the most important one for you, your turn. How can you take this art of the unspectacular and actually use it in your own life?
Well, it's actually a pretty simple 4-step process. First, just pick a place you think you know inside and out. Then, step 2, actively ignore the obvious stuff and go on a hunt for the tiny, unspectacular details. Step 3, try to find those moments between moments we talked about, the real quiet vibe of the place. And finally, step 4, ask yourself, what's my truth about this place? Forget the postcards. What does it genuinely feel like to me? I mean, if a world-class photographer can find a universe of inspiration in a simple security gate, what incredible overlooked details are waiting for you right now? What masterpiece is hiding in your daily routine just waiting for you to see it?